Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cyclone. It's time for more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic, and the day has come. Long Island Railroad is out. I could make a big preamble about this, but you know what? This is a U.S. route that's not too far from where I live. I live in Ontario, Canada, so basically I border New York City in some roundabout way. New York State, I should say. New York City is in the state, obviously. So this is actually fairly close to me, and therefore of potential interest to me more than a Canadian route out in the West would be, because that's further away from me. So it's, you know, we won't talk about that. In any case, we're going to start with scenario number 1, the Summer of Hell. Why that is the 5-star scenario at slot number 1, I have no idea. I would have expected a 5-star or 5 difficulty to be later on in the group. But we're going to give it a try now and see how it works. Again, difficulty is objective. If we can do this one no problem, then that means the rest of this pack is going to be a cinch, right? No, but we'll get to that later. In any case, Summer of Hell. Now I noticed that the trains seem to be showing as an A and a B unit on the scenario, on the train description. I've also tried cloning a scenario earlier just to see what would happen, and I've actually noticed that sometimes the B unit would turn into an A unit on the clones. So when I clone, say, Saturday Steaks, for example, it might clone as M7A instead of M7B, but another one might clone. One of these might clone as M7B, or this might clone as M7B and not change at all. I don't know how. A and B is assigned here. I don't know why that description is even in here for this. But in any case, this is one of the two that uses the M7A. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that today. Before we get started, I'm going to see, I don't have a manual for this yet, but I'm going to see what I can do to give you some kind of a minimal train tour so you can figure out what it is you need to go to so we can get going here. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this scenario. We're going to see what the light is like because it's 8:20 in the morning. I'm going to see what it looks like to see if we can get some good views of everything. I may save it for another scenario. In fact, I know there's a 5:25 here. That's early, that's later, that's... You know what? There's not really going to be a good time to get this. I might have to just do it right now. Let's see what the daylight is like, and we'll see if we can get you a train tour. Before we get underway in the scenario, let's take a look at the train itself. You can see we have a blank screen with absolutely no data in front of it. If we try to move any reverse or anything like that, nothing happens. You can't move the throttle. You can't... Well, the brakes are tied to the throttle, so we don't have to worry about that. So it looks like we can't really do anything here. It looks like it's a blank screen. If I click around, you can see, for example, the horn is over here. That is something that does work. We also have a guard's buzzer. I'm not sure where that is on the display, but it is here. So it's somewhere in this area. There's the alerter reset, so the queue switches that. There's also a half horn, which you see the horn handle does not move on that one. So these are a couple of controls I can actually show you right now without having really done anything to set up the train. You can see the, I believe that's a speedometer over here. Is that the speedometer? No, brake cylinder. That's the brake cylinder gauge. So that's the brake information you see there. So going back to this display, there's one thing we have to do to really turn this on. There's actually 2 ways we can do this. So if I bring up the HUD for a second, you'll see that I'm on emergency, key out, 100%. So the first thing, I'm going to show you there actually is a way you can turn on the thing manually on the switch itself. I'll turn this off for a second because I'll show you how this works in a bit. So what I can do is I can push this, it turns on the whole screen setup. So now I'm showing you a 30 and a 40. I'll explain those speeds later as I'm driving. Now I still can't set the reverser. That is not able to do anything. I still can't use accelerator, obviously. I'm going to show you the HUD again to show you why. You can see that we're in emergency setup. Still, the key out status is still selected. I do have to move the reverser down to... Well, actually, I'll start by moving the brakes out of emergency, which means I'm now in a maximum brake setting. This will allow you to move to a key out setting, move from the key out setting into a forward setting. You can also go reverse or neutral, whatever you want to stay in. So I'll leave it in forward because I do plan to go forward. Well, actually, I'll put it in neutral because I'm not moving on this tour. So you can see the screens are now showing up. I can now go ahead and hold the semicolon key next to the L, if you're not familiar with what that is, the semicolon. And that will allow me to charge the brakes. I can let go and it will stop the charge, but I hold it down and I keep charging. Eventually the number will drop to 13%. So I think it's around the 36 or somewhere in that area that it will do that. Yeah, I was right on the ball with that. So it goes down to 13. You then have the brakes controlled by the pressure on the combined brake throttle, then into a coast setting and back to a minimum brake. At this point, everything functions normally. So you have your reverser there, which you can see behind the throttle there. You can see it just ticking there between those settings. Key out is up there at the top, and if you do that, well, it doesn't actually do anything in this case because you have to actually put the brake train back into emergency. And if you do push it too far and it goes back into emergency, well, it's actually not going to let me now. It doesn't go back to the emergency setting. But if you go to key out, you can then go into emergency, and then it's gone. That's how you reset the train in that sense. Now you have to charge the brakes again. But I'm going to go ahead and cheat. I'm going to do something that you can actually do to set this train up normally. I'm going to turn it back off as I click that. What I'm going to do now is hit the Z button. The Z key on the keyboard, the Z for those of you Canadian like me. It sets everything up. Brakes are fully charged. Reverser is in neutral. And all you have to do is take the brakes up and go. That's all you got to do. So that's the other way you can set the train up. You have two different ways to set this train up. So there's not really a lot more that I'm going to show you about this cab. A, because I don't have a manual. And B, because I don't know everything about it yet. But I know that the H key controls headlights. I believe there's a headlight switch somewhere up. The switches are up here. So you're going to see the headlight switch when I turn the headlights on. Or maybe not. It's not on that side. The cab light's over here, though. There it is. That one in the middle is the cab light. The marker lights are here, so they're automatically on when the scenario starts. There is a gauge light. I'm not sure how that is, but it looks like how that works, but it's some kind of a dimmer. We'll see in the manual when we get it. Nothing there. Nothing there. Car wash, which doesn't work. Train brake recharge. That's the recharge button. So this green highlighted button is the button you push when you're charging the brakes. I'm not doing it now that the train's on. This is the wiper controls. Now, if you push, you can see it's raining on my cab, so I would change the cab to an on setting. You're going to see that, and I'll explain the signals later. You can see that it turns on. But if you just keep pushing the V, it will turn off. However, the other settings are available. So there is a GH setting. I'm not sure what that's doing. It seems to be doing the same thing, so I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe it's just a little faster. No, it's about the same, I think. So we can head over to int 1, whatever int 1 does. You can notice there's a bit of a pause on the wiper now. I actually like that. Now, in the future, if a patch comes out, I'd like to see the other wiper settings incorporated into the V press to change between the two, change between all these wiper options. I'd love to see that happen. I don't know if that ever will happen, but I would love to see that incorporated into the V key so everything's possible. I'm getting it to intermission 2 right now, or intermittent 2. You're going to see a nice long pause here. And all of a sudden, ding, ding. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi. It's about a 6-second pause. I'm going to go to intermittent 3 now. Let's see how long this one is. So I'm going to watch the seconds. And again, we are looking at the scenario time. Just excuse the fact normally I wouldn't show this on a train tour. But we notice the wiper stops at 53 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and wait to see how many seconds go by here. We're at 7, 8 seconds. So there are 3 different levels of intermittent timing on the wipers, as you can see there. So there you go. We got all the different wiper settings incorporated on here. Really, really cool. So you have your preference for how you use the wipers, and that will work. The other buttons don't work. The ones I showed you so far do work. Up here, there are a few more buttons. There's an emergency brake up here. That naturally will work. I'm not going to pull that right now. And lamp test, that doesn't work. Windshield heater, I should say, doesn't work. Door zone doesn't work. That's the headlight button right there. So if we push that, headlights are on. That is an uncoupling thing. We're not going to use that. And over here is just, the other person's seat. That's what it is. So you're going to get to see how these buttons work on the different things here as we drive. I'm not even going to try to indicate what everything is here. This is like a computer screen that shows you trouble, things like that, how many cars are in the unit, so on. This is the speeds, so you're able to go 40 on the track speed. You're able to go 30 according to the signal code. I'll explain signal codes as we go. Because 30 is the lower of the two, naturally you're only allowed to go 30. Scenario timings, I presume, do take this into account. And then there are other things over here next to the speedometer. That middle 0 is the speedometer. You can see the 120 that it goes up to. You're only allowed to go 80, though, on this route. So you can't go above 80. And brake pipe pressure is currently 144. So again, if you move the reverser or the throttle up and down, it will actually, notice I'm moving it up. That's power. I don't want power. If I move the brakes up to 75%, for example, 132 is the brake pressure. Brake pipe pressure cylinder is 37. But if I move it up to, say, 30, it goes to 142 and 17. So those numbers change as you apply brakes to the train. And it also shows you the yellow applied to show brakes are applied. When it's released and the train's moving, obviously you're going to see green on released instead on the in the middle of the screen to the right. There's a doors closed setting, so if you push to open the doors like that, the doors are open. And an alert or bypass is apparently possible. I don't know how that works, but apparently it's highlighted. There's other sayings here as well. So in any case, that's enough talking and chatting about this. Let's go ahead and start driving this scenario, shall we? Good morning, engineer. Set up the train ready for departure from Hicksville. Please do not forget to allow passengers to board here. This train would normally have come from Huntington, but a tree is blocking the line between here and there due to an earlier thunderstorm. Passengers are being bused from Hicksville to Huntington and are not very happy. A note, by the way, and I do notice the capital T on tree here. I should be noting that all the scenarios here, that the 7 playable scenarios, have a white box with dark text on the white box, which is not the conventional way that these are set up. What I've done is I've actually changed the scripts. That's why mine look different. I've changed the scripts to show the conventional white text on dark background setup that you're used to in other scenarios in DLC. And I'm going to make these available as a patch on the forum. But I also made a point to make corrections to the English text. I missed tree. I'm going to fix that before I make this available. But I missed tree. I will fix that one, and provided I remember to do that. So I will make that a lowercase tree because tree is not a noun. And naturally that should not be capitalized. So I will fix that, but I can't change any of the localization versions because I'm not fluent in German or Spanish or any of those other languages, so or especially Chinese. So don't expect me to make any edits to the localization versions. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I'll apply the formatting, but I can't really change the text. So there you go. In any case, let's get ourselves set up here, and that's going to be a very easy thing to do as we get alerted that our signal stuff is on here. Train's on. Doors are open. You notice the yellow on the at the bottom there above the flashing red. Let's turn this HUD up, and we're going to move our train up to... No, a minimum brake. Don't move while the boarding is happening, please. Quick look at the route. We're at the east end of the route where Huntington is located here. Or Hicksville, sorry, Hicksville. Huntington is one of the directions you can go from here. The lower track goes to the main line, but we have a huge line already started for the Port Jefferson branch. So Brandon, when he made the route, did a little extra work on that to make sure the custom route makers had a little something to work with there. And he apparently added extra signals as well that aren't used on this route, which is really nice for him to do that. You can see the main line goes down here. There's 2 paths you can go there. One is to Babylon on to Montauk. The other is to Ronkonkoma, heading, I believe, to Greenport, I think is at the end of that. And I think there is diesel on both lines. Let's look at our journey. Going from Hicksville, we go to Westbury. We're just going down the track. Carle Place, Mineola. So all stops so far. There's a branch up there, by the way. I think this goes to Oyster Bay. You can see that this is a new track that was added here. So this goes to Oyster Bay, I believe. So we're going to go from Mineola to Merillon. You can see that we're coming up. The Hicksville branch is below, or the Hempstead branch is below, by the way. We'll explore that later. We're going to continue to New Hyde Park. Jamaica's all the way over here. We're going to have more stations to explore later here. We're going to eventually head up to Hunterspoint Avenue and Long Island City. So that is where we're going to be going today. And we're all the way back here at this end, moving from one end of the route to the other. Our boarding procedure is almost completed. Let's take a quick look at the train before we start, shall we? Okay, engineer, our timings are as follows. We're not going to read that. We can see the timetable in the F1 HUD, and I know this is something I did complain about in the past on another set of scenarios, so I think the designer took that into account on future scenarios, but I didn't get this one changed, unfortunately, before it went into final form. So you can read this if you want to. It's not going to probably appear on all the scenarios. In any case, moving on, we can now get ourselves on the move. I'm going to put myself into a, let's say, 50... Oh, I should go into forwards first. That would help. First step, put the reverser into forwards, ladies and gentlemen. Each stop is worth 143 points. That means there are 7 stops to get to a full 1,000-point score. You're going to notice that the 2 stops at Hunterspoint Avenue and Long Island City do not have points associated with them. So once you have your 1,000 points, you're done. That is an approach medium signal. We're going to have to learn these signals. That's an approach medium signal. That means you can go 30 or 40 depending on what the train allows. Right now we're allowed 30. The track would allow 40 for a non-cab signaling train. Now it's only allowing 30, no matter what. So I'm trying not to go too fast here because I don't want to have to slam the brakes here. You have to respond to every single alert here, otherwise you get an emergency brake. I don't know about the ones that go higher in speed. They might just be notifications. But the ones that beep at you, they definitely will. Those are the train speed indicators, and those you definitely have to respond to. Otherwise, you will get an emergency brake because you're considered to be asleep, which for me would not be surprising. In case we are passing into an 80 right now, but we have to wait for the 30 to clear before we can actually start going 80. It still says 30 on our HUD regardless of what the train says. There's the 80. We can now go to 80 miles per hour, which is the maximum speed of the train on this journey today. I will cover signals in more detail as we go on, because I don't have a manual for that yet. And even though I have a guide for the signals, it's set up so that you have one set of signals for a type of signal on each page. And it's a nice informative guide, but unless you can memorize it instantly, it's not very good for reference when you're trying to quickly play a route. So I'm going to save the signal explanations for another time. I'll just tell you the ones that we need to know about. And that's all we need to know right now. So we're going through divide. The divide interlocking. So you notice that signal I called an approach, or a medium clear, I think it was. Was it a medium clear? I will get the name of this one because I want to make sure. Yeah, the medium clear was a horizontal set of yellow lights over a vertical set of yellow lights. Those are the Long Island Railroad exclusive type signals. They only appear on the Long Island Railroad. And those kind of signals will take all sorts of different formations based on what you're allowed to do. The one that you most want to see is a straight vertical line on top above nothing below it, with nothing below it. That is the one that tells you that you are clear to go at line speed, which at that point can be up to 80 miles per hour. You want to see that when you have a distance to drive. If you see anything other than that, you're going much slower than 80 miles per hour, possibly down to 40 or 30 in many cases. There are speed boards for 60 in places as well that you can follow a 60 speed limit, but those are speed boards, those are not signal indicators. So when a signal indicator is showing something other than 80 or 70, you're going slow. It's going to take you twice as long to get somewhere. At least. I'm going to start hitting the brakes now for a 50% brake application as we approach Westbury. I'm going to go ahead and ease that back because I think I'm coming in a little slower than I want to. So a 30% brake should do the job for right now. My goal is to try to stop the train. I have not been blowing the whistle. My goal is to stop the train before the end of the platform, but I think I'm coming in a little slow again, so I've eased it back to 25%. I might have been a little early on the brake. Now I'm going to actually slam those brakes because I am coming in now, and I do want to stop within the station. So I'm just trying to ease it so I get to the end of the platform. So back to minimum brake for a moment. I should have kept on my original laurels. I know how this works, but I didn't trust myself. Now I'm going to coast because I'm coming in a little too slow, I've determined. This is a 12-car train, so we are going to be fitting ourselves right into this platform. In fact, I'm going to overshoot slightly on the lead car, but so I didn't quite do it the way I should. I'll show you what I mean while we're stopped here. Arrival at Westbury. Respond with the buzzer signal, why not? Leaving at a 80 mile per hour speed limit, leaving Westbury Track 1, we're going to be heading to Carle Place, our next stop. And you may have noticed in the screenshot I showed you the back of the train, the little bit of platform that was there. That shows that you could actually fit this entire train into the platform properly. I just overshot the platform a little bit because I was a little too overeager to get that first stop out of the way. So moving on to the next stop, we'll try and do a little bit better at Carle Place. I don't know if we're going to fit the entire train in there or not, but we will find out. Now you notice there's a lot of signals on this route that are actually nothing more than a track circuit buried in the ground. The track circuit acts as a signal for the train, but you don't have to actually read the track circuit. You'll recognize a kind of rectangular thing that looks like a grate on the track, and that is your track circuit. I'm going to start braking here just a little bit, not too much right now. Arrival time is 8:29 and 5 seconds for Carle Place. I'm just going to coast at this point to come in. I'll start braking as I get closer. Okay, here we go. So 30% brake for right now. I'm going to increase that to a 45% brake. Going to ease it off now back to 30. And I'm coming in a little slowly now by my judgment, so I'm going to coast again. In fact, I'm coming in way too slowly, so there is a slight possibility I could be late on this stop, but very, very slight. So now I'm going to do a heavy brake application to bring it down. I'm going to try to coast it in the last little bit because I have one car left to get in. This train will fit. That might do it. Let's see how we did here, shall we? Doors are open at Carle Place. Leaving Carle Place, our next stop is Mineola, stopping again on track number 1. So the northern track is the one that we're on. That is considered track 1. The southern track is track 2. I'll try to be a little more confident on my future stops here as well. I'm still second guessing myself, even though I tried taking a practice run. There's that signal that you just saw, by the way, that straight vertical line. That was the one that says go at line speed. So I'm trying to get more confident on my stops. I did think I had at one point, but then I kind of second guessed myself. I think the rain is throwing me off a little bit in this scenario. So I'm still getting used to, in some ways, to the signaling. You can see Mineola. It kind of looks confusing because it says Nassau Mineola track 1, but the Nassau refers to the, I'll bring it up on the map very quickly to show you, in fact. The Nassau refers to the spot before the station, so it says Nassau to track 1. That's what's showing up as Nassau on the map. So that's what that means. We might get up close to the speed limit here before we have to slow down. Look at this. We're up to 71, 72, 73. Yeah, we're going to have to brake right at about half a mile out here, it looks like. I'm at 78. That's good enough for this journey. Start braking. 50% should do the job. You can see a siding beginning to the right of us. Whistleboard. The siding joins us. There's going to be a track coming from the Oyster Bay area, I believe it is. It's going to be joining us as well. So that's all going to be coming in right after the orange mark. I'm coming in too slow now. Definitely too slow. So coasting it. There's the line that I believe comes from Oyster Bay. There's a service up there. That is train 0606 to Huntington. And I have not been keeping the brakes on. So major brake application now to bring the train down. Hopefully I don't get a wheel slip, but looks like I'm doing okay. Easing it off to 35% brakes now. And I'm coming in now. The brakes definitely did their job, so now I'm going to go ahead and coast it in the rest of the way if I can. Noting I have till 8:33 to make the stop. So I have the time. I'm going to start braking again now. I'm trying to get the train all the way to the end of the platform. Let's just coast a little more so we can try and get in there. That should be good, I think. I think I'm in the right spot. Doors are open at Mineola. Leaving Mineola, our next stop is Merillon. Merillon Avenue, I should say, track 1. Leaving again at an 80 mile per hour speed limit. You can already see Merillon Avenue up ahead about 8/10 of a mile away. So we're not going to get to our speed limit on this particular part of the journey. I figure by about a quarter of a mile out, we are going to have to be braking, if not sooner. We'll see what kind of speed we do get to, and we'll make that decision when we get closer. So you can see another Nassau 1 track 1 marker up ahead. I think the other one said Nassau 2 further back. So now it's Nassau 1. You can see New Hyde is also up ahead. That's another stop on our journey today. And these are the final 2 stops before Jamaica. I actually meant to hit the brakes a bit sooner than this, so this is a very, very bad braking setup right now. I'm going to have to hold this brake at 70% for quite a bit here to make sure we can try to stop on time. Okay, now I'm going to ease it back because I am coming in very well at this point. I'm going to keep a small brake application on so I can continue to lose speed. I'm going to increase it again as I get towards the end of the platform. And right now, minimum brake just to make sure. Okay, let's... Actually, I did not need to increase. I'm going to minimum brake right now. And I'm not going to fit the whole train in this platform. It is impossible. Do not try. Someone walking towards us here. I'm down to 7 miles, so I'm coasting in at this point. At the previous stop, by the way, I was on the platform correctly, but for some reason the front cab doors did not open. So sometimes you may see a cab door not open. In any case, we have arrived at Merillon Avenue. Leaving Merillon Avenue, our next stop is New Hyde Park. 8:37 and 50 seconds is our arrival time, so we're going to have to make sure we nail that one because if we hit 8:38, we're probably going to be marked late. So we have to nail that stop before 8:38 crosses, otherwise we might have a time to this problem. You may notice as well that I have put on the intermittent 1 setting. So if I highlight, I showed you in the train tour where that was. If I highlight the switch right here, above where it says cab light on the screen right now, that is the switch. It's pointing up to the left. That is where int 1 is. Int 2 and int 3 are further down on the left. And then you have the regular settings on the right. So I'm using the int setting because I like the int setting. I want to show off the different wiper settings. I might use a different one on a future rain scenario. We'll see. I'm going to try and get some workshop scenarios for this route as well. I may even make some of my own and show them off too. So that may, I'm tempted to do that because I found some good train schedules to work from for this route. So I'm putting a slightly large brake application on as I come in. I'm continuing to increase the brake application as we come in. I have to make my stop now, so wherever I stop is where I stop. I could even be late at this point, so I'm going to try and rush those doors open and try to be on time. It's going to be very, very tight. Whatever I get, I get. Arrival at New Hyde Park. Leaving New Hyde Park, our next stop is Jamaica. We are going to pass a few stations along the way here. I still don't have them all memorized, so I might misname a couple of them here and there. Whoops, I hit something on my desk. Please excuse that. So I will do the best I can, especially because I'm going to be dealing with some cab signaling changes as we approach Jamaica. This is normal. I do expect the cab signaling to show us I expect the cab signaling to show us a lower speed as we go here. So we'll take a look at that as we see it. What I can tell you is the next station coming up is going to be Floral Park. We are going to go, of course, past that because we're not stopping there. Now, our arrival at Jamaica is not for another 7.5 minutes. So we do have the time to try to get ourselves in a good situation for arrival. In fact, we're shown to be a minute early right now, so that's pretty good. I would accept that. We're also going to have a bit of a layover at Jamaica. You can see we're going to be sitting there for 3 minutes if we arrive on time. I think this is Floral Park right here. I'm cutting back my throttle because I'm getting close to the speed limit. We're soon going to be seeing Bella Rose Station. Bella Rose is the next station we should see. Here it is. Well, I thought that was it, but I think that was just a platform. Whoops, don't speed. I might have already missed it. Let me take a quick peek here at the map and find out that, no, that was indeed where Bella Rose was. We're now passing the site of Elmont. Elmont is a station that is actually newly opening this year, but because this route is set in 2019, it does not show up on this route. So we're passing that site about now as we come to the Belmont Park turnoff, which is what you're going to see over to that side. So somewhere over there, Belmont is in that location. I think that's the building right there on the left of that screen, in fact. So this is now another station that's going by. This is Queens Village. One more station before the hillside facility that precedes Jamaica, that is Hollis. Hollis is going to show up before the hillside facility, which will then lead us into Jamaica. I see a train going by. I missed who that was. And I got an alert, I think, in my cab that I barely responded to. Either that or that was something else. If you got a chance to pause that on YouTube and see who that train was, I was doing too much at once to even think about it. Sorry about that. So I'm staying at 75 because I am expecting to drop to 70 or maybe even 60 at some point. So I am staying at 75 for the time being, knowing that. I'm going to try to show you how the train controls your speed. I'm not going to be hitting the brakes at all for a moment as the train starts dropping. This would be Hollis right here, I believe. So you can see the 40 up ahead. That means at either the next signal 0.4 of a mile away or the one after that, I'm going to probably get dropped to a 70. And then the next signal will probably drop me to a 40. This, I believe, is the hillside facility for staff. That's another train. Again, I'll try to show you very quickly who that is. There it is, 3010 to Babylon. The train has slowed me down to a 70 mile per hour. You saw that I did on someone. I didn't hit the brakes at all. In fact, I have power on the train right now. So the train slowed itself down to 70. I'm going to go ahead and just start slowing down now to 40, knowing that is coming up. That 70 alert I had to respond to, by the way. That's why I was trying to be quick to show you the train. So the next signal is probably, there it is right now. That grate was what dropped me to 40. So I'm going to put the train back into, I have to put it back into coast to clear the alert. So the train speed kept going down. So here's what happens. It's a lot to explain in 2 seconds, which is why I do it badly. What happens is the train recognizes that you're over the speed limit. So if you're applying power, it will not allow that power to apply. And it will keep braking and alerting you no matter what your status is. As soon as you apply power, it's throwing an alarm at you saying you can't do this right now. It's like a computer saying illegal operation, except the computer shuts down. The train is threatening to shut down if you do not respond properly to it. As long as you put the train into at least a coast setting or into brake, and then hit the alerter, it will take the alert off, and you'll be able to just wait it out and apply power as needed. But if you then apply power while you're still above the speed limit, you basically get that alert, and you could find yourself in an emergency brake if you don't respond to it properly. So it will emergency brake you if you do a bad job at it. So you have to get used to how the train controls your speed. It will try to prevent you from speeding, but there are going to be times where even that doesn't work. Notice that the train is alerting me that there is a 20 on the track ahead. Meanwhile, the train speed is telling me that I can only go up to 30, so I have to get it down to 20. That will eventually drop to a 15 as well, but for right now I can go 20. I'm still above 20. Let's not do that. So now I have to go slow all the way into Jamaica. In fact, the train speed still says 30, but you can see it just went to 15 and it started slowing me down again. So I'm being cut to 15. And the train tried, as you noticed, I tried to apply the throttle when I thought it was safe to do so. And the train told me, no, you can't do that. So I was a little early applying the throttle. And for that reason, I found myself braking down to 10 or 11 miles per hour there. I think it was 11. So 15 is the highest we can go. If we do end up going into 16 or 17, that is fine. It will not count as a speeding penalty because we're allowed to go 20 on the track. But the train will tell us, oh no, I'm slowing you down. So the train will try to keep you within allowed speeds for the area. I have 1 minute to make my stop at Jamaica. I am 0.05 of a mile away. This is our final point stop on this journey. Once we make this stop, we will have our full 1,000 points. It's just a matter of not speeding after that. So I'm going to try to take a quick look around Jamaica here. I'm going to try and give you a nice shot at Jamaica. In the future, when I actually I got a huge layover here, so I actually will take a moment to show you around. Because I did take a peek at this station earlier. It looks really, really nice. And I want to show you around Jamaica. We should be able to fit all 12 cars into this station without difficulty. So I'm going to slow down a little bit more. Actually, no, I don't want to slow down a little bit more because I'm actually close to my time limit here. And I want my full points. So I'm going to try to push this as much as I can. This will have to do. I might not get the whole train in here. Look at this. Yeah, that's the best I'm going to do. I'm going to open the doors like this. This is fine. I don't know. Let's take a quick look and see if I actually get all of the doors open or not. So pop outside the train. I had a little bit of room on the platform I could have gone. But the door is open, so I can look inside the train. Heyo! Back out. And let's take a quick look as a person for a moment. Just hop up into this area here. And you can see how detailed this is. You can actually look out across the city. Very, very nice look, being able to look across at Jamaica. You can head to the other side of the terminal as well. You see the platform numbers on the terminal up here. Track 2, Track 3, and it shows you, well, I think in Train Sim World you see schedules for each track, but I don't think you get to see them that way here. So it doesn't work that way in Train Simulator because it's different for each scenario. It's not a 24-hour timetable. So then you come all the way over to this side, and I hear another train over here. Let's go down and see what's going on. Oh, hi! That's another train going by. 1402 to Jamaica. That train is stopping here. This is a terminus for this train, interestingly enough. We have a building here we can go through. Very, very nice. That's a chance for a screenshot here and there. And we have another climb up here, and then we have these little booth type things here. And we have these little boards on here on this side of the track. Now I think it's actually, what is this? Some kind of footpath thing here, I believe this is. But something I find interesting, look at these boards. Andyland, ladies and gentlemen. It is Andyland. With stops at Mineola, Hicksville, Bethpage, Farmingdale, Pine Lawn, Wyandotte, I believe is how you say that, Deer Park, Brentwood, Central Islip, and Ronkonkoma. Get your guesses in now, ladies and gentlemen. Does that mean Ronkonkoma is confirmed for an extension? I'll let you guys think about that. In any case, back into the train. We still have about another 30 seconds before we leave, but we are going to get our full point score at this point. So at this point, I am probably going to register a save. I'll take a quick look at the train as I do that. Engineer of Train 1631, this is Penn Station and Herald Interlocking Tower calling. We have experienced a major switch failure at Penn Station and require you to divert to Hunterspoint Avenue, where you will terminate. Ooh. Hunterspoint Avenue or Long Island City? Because I saw Long Island City on my timetable, but that explains it. Hunterspoint Avenue is where we're going to make our trip to. I guess that's where the passengers are going to get off. They're not going to be very happy. They're not going to be happy. But we're going to get them there. They're going to have to get a bus from there to Penn Central, I guess, because of problems at Penn. So I guess Hunterspoint Avenue might be a little busy today. Let's find out. Let's get going. We have our 1,000 points, so let's just make sure we do perfect from here on. We can take as much time as we need to. And we also have the half horn. Just like that. So we're not going to exceed 15 miles per hour. This is our required speed to go here. We're going to be eventually getting back into 80 territory and also a stretch at 70 as we continue along in the mainline track. You can see our speed is actually shown as 15 now. Even though the track speed limit is 20, our train speed is shown to be 15 at this time. So we are definitely going to be limited to 15. Slight downhill here. Going to hit the brakes to compensate. It's a 2.0 gradient that we hit for... Actually, we hit a 2.2 for a moment. So definitely a nice little drop in... or a nice little increase, rather, in speed there before we go back uphill. So that little dip there, that can be a trap to any career scenario player right there. That little dip on the west side of Jamaica is a scoring trap right there, to say the very least. Have to hit the brakes again. We've been alerted to a 40 mile per hour speed increase on the track. We are still waiting for signal clearance. I might have seen it at the previous... Actually, no, this might be the signal right here. Or is it? No, I don't see it, so I don't know what our progress is at this point because I didn't actually see a signal. Looks like it's one of those train communication signals. So you don't actually get to see what it's trying to tell us. The speed is now apparently 20, but I never trust that 20. I'm going to wait until we actually do go to 40 because that might be what the hidden signal is telling us. We might be allowed to go 40 now. We're on a 1.4% uphill gradient at this time. We are seeing an 80 sign up ahead. We're going to wait for the track to also clear us to go 80 before we go up to that speed. We can now go up to 40, so we're going to do that. Again, there are no longer any timings involved, so I'm not concerned. Our current ETA is listing as 9:01, which sounds about right for Hunterspoint Avenue. You can see that we do have a clear signal, so we are clear to go at line speed according to the signal over our heads right now. We can now move up to 80 according to the train speed and the track speed. We have to wait for the train to pass a certain point fully before we can actually go that speed. So we're going to stand by for that to happen. Basically, the sign that you see on the HUD is what we're waiting to pass. And I got to it just as... Let's check where that train is, shall we? 4210 to Hicksville. Whoops. 4210 to Hicksville is who that was. So as we pass that sign, we got moved into the 80. We probably will get dropped to 70 at some point up ahead because I think there is a 70 stretch around either Kew Gardens or Forest Hill. I'm not sure which. Or it might be as you get to Herald Interlocking. But I know by the normally when you go by Herald Interlocking, you're going to find yourself being dropped to 60 anyway for the downhill into Penn Central. I have never taken the trip to Hunterspoint Avenue. I gave a trial run on Penn Central and I found those speed limits there. And I saw the video, I saw the stream from yesterday. So I saw 45s and 60s across the speed signs on that HUD there as well. But I've never actually seen or been to Hunterspoint Avenue. So this will be a first. I moved the train into a coast setting. This also has an advantage if we do get a signal drop to 70 at some point. Then we're going to be able to immediately respond to the signal and just let the train do its work before we put our speed back on. So, our throttle back on to maintain speed. So we are going to let the train help us out here. That is train number 3806 to Long Beach. Long Beach is on the path south of Jamaica as you leave. And it's one of the many branches down there. You're also going to find branches to Far Rockaway, West Hempstead. And that's also the main line to Babylon and Montauk. So the Long Beach branch dips out to a 2-station segment, including Long Beach itself. Might be 3, but I know I've seen 2 on the map. In fact, let me answer that question right now, because I have a map on my device right now. Oh, it's more than 2. The Long Beach branch goes off at Lynbrook, and the stations along there are Center Avenue, East Rockaway, Oceanside, Island Park, and Long Beach. I believe that is all of them. 5 stations on that branch. That branch, again, is not in our game. It's not part of our route, but I'm sure at some point someone will have the thought to do a route on that. Nice little look from outside the cab here. You can see we still have the clear signal. I might have missed Kew Gardens. Did I miss it? Quick look at the... Oh yeah, I definitely missed Kew Gardens. Kew Gardens was way back here, and Forest Hill was way back here. So you might have seen those stations I didn't call out, and so be it. I didn't call them. Woodside is coming up, however. That is the station that is next. We're probably going to get dropped on a signal change here, so since I'm not being scored from here on, I'm just going to start dropping anyway. Because there's a 60 coming up. You can see that I've already been able to answer the alarm because I was already under 70. I'm going to drop myself to 60 immediately, because 60 is what I really want to worry about right now for my next speed. That was another train. As I go under a bridge, you got to see there, 1616 to Huntington. Being alerted to the 60 that just took over our speed limit. We're now about 3.3 miles from Hunterspoint Avenue. We're getting a yellow over red. Now, I'm not an expert on all of these signals yet, but I will get you that. Or that might have been a green over red, actually. That could have been a green over red. I did not see it correctly. I think it was a green over red. So that is a basically the same clear signal that we have on the LIR signals we've been following. That is a clear signal, green over red. There is Woodside. This is the last stop before Penn Central if you stay on the main line. You'll also find that the branch from Port Washington will have joined us on the right by this point, and it actually stops at platform C at Woodside. And you're going to notice that the platforms are lettered. They're not actually numbered. So the track number shows you the track number for the platform, but the platforms themselves are they're lettered. So platform A serves tracks 1 and 2. Platform B, I believe, serves 2 and 3. Platform C serves 4 and 5. I'm talking about Jamaica, of course, when I say this. In the present day, there's also a platform F that is not in this DLC. That is tracks 11 and 12, with tracks 9 and 10 being flyby tracks that merge into one track as you go through Jamaica. Of course, none of that has anything to do with us. That track you see on the right going into the tunnel is the normal path into Penn Central. Naturally, we're not taking that today. We're going to instead be dropping to a 40 up ahead. So I'm lowering my speed a little bit now in preparation for this. Even though we still have a clear signal, I know we are going to be dropping speed up ahead, and I'd rather not drop completely at once. We're going to have a 10 by the time we get to Hunterspoint Avenue as well, so let's keep that in mind. I just saw that ahead before it zoomed in. So yellow over red, which means we're still clear to go 60 at this point, but naturally we're not doing that because we're carrying a career score of perfection that I don't want to lose. So Penn Central would be underground by now. We are staying above ground at Hunterspoint Avenue. still have a yellow over red, or green over red rather, which is still a 70, but we know the 45 limit's up ahead. We have to abide by that. And then the 40 right after it. So just like that, there we are. So I don't think the train speed limits actually work in this area. That's why we're still showing as being cleared for 80. But a yellow over green here is probably going to change that, as now we're cut down to 40. So it looks like the signal speed limit did not go into effect prior to the speed limit change. That may be by design. I do not know, but that may be by design. I know someone I can ask about that. But so why that speed limit change on the signal is after the speed limit change on the track itself, I have no idea. We might get dropped to a 30 here. Yellow, red, red. Yeah, we're going to get dropped to a 30. Yep, there's the 30. So we're going to have to drop further to 10 by the time we actually get to the station up ahead. Hunterspoint Avenue Track 1 is up there. Now, if that was a yellow, yellow, red, that would be an approach slow. But because we have had a yellow, red, red, that is just a basic approach signal. And I think it means the next signal would have to be a red if I remember my normal signaling. But things do work differently on this route, so I don't know. I need to get down quickly before an emergency brake hits me. So as you notice, the train tries to get you down well before the sign. It does not want a chance you speeding into a section where it has the ability to warn you ahead of time. It is trying to warn you ahead of time. So the train will try to stop you from speeding most of the time. So the train will try to work with you. Even if it feels like it isn't, it will. Thank you. So the speed check thing was turning itself off here, it looks like. In any case, we are stopping here at Hunterspoint Avenue. We're doing a passenger drop-off. Not really a pickup, but a drop-off. This was not our planned route, so we're dropping our passengers off and calling it a day. We're going to have to go down to 5 up ahead, which is quite interesting. I don't know how many of the scenarios actually go by Hunterspoint Avenue, but I have a train in mind for a scenario I want to make for you guys that actually would be a very interesting trip out of Hunterspoint Avenue, and I found a perfect train to do that with. So I do want to try and get that one set up for you guys, and I will make it available in the workshop if and when I do it. I know there's at least another user or two who definitely wants to make scenarios on this route, so I'm going to keep an eye for their scenarios as well, because I definitely want to see if I can get a couple of them on here as time goes on. This, I expect, is going to be a very popular route for scenario design, because there's just so many options for trains here that you can recreate. So many stopping patterns you can design that you can just do almost anything viable on the route. The only thing you can't do is go to the branches that you don't have access to. In any case, doors are open at Hunterspoint Avenue. Well, that was not what I expected. I didn't get to give you a really good screenshot there. But in any case, PSCC Tower to Engineer of Train 1631. Please stable your train in Long Island City, Track 9, and await further instructions. Okay. So since I'm now back in live camera mode, I'm going to go ahead and break my screenshot setup here and just go along Hunterspoint Avenue, because we're not going to get to see this very often. Nice little hand Bigfoot track on the... what is this? Okay, that's interesting. So we're going to take a quick look at Hunterspoint, because we're not going to be here very often. This is Hunterspoint Avenue with a stair up here. And this gets you out on the road, just like that. So there's your access to the road. Let's go back down for a moment. And continue to head not into the ground, but along this platform a little further. And very, very user-unfriendly platform, to say the least. Doesn't look like the most useful platform. Oh, look at this. Track information. Track 1 to Port Jefferson, Patchogue, Oyster Bay, Ronkonkoma, Port Jefferson, and Track 2 to Montauk, Oyster Bay, Montauk, Port Jefferson, Port Jefferson, Port Jefferson, and Oyster Bay. There are very few trains that go out of Hunterspoint Avenue. That's why they can put this up here, because there are very few trains. This schedule typically will not change. If you look at a 2019 timetable, you're probably going to find that this is accurate on a 2019 timetable. So I challenge you, look it up. I have it, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's probably pretty accurate. So these trains here are very accurate. Then if you continue along, you can see a nice Hamburg SUD. Someone brought a car from Germany. There you go. And this is another one of those things you can walk inside for a nice little screenshot of the train. Nice. And whatever this is over here. Whoops. The finale. Extra large. Okay. So we're at the end of the platform. As you can see, the whole train doesn't fit, but we were not expecting to bring a 12-car train in here, so that's fine. Let's bring the HUD back up and let's continue our journey to our final stop at Long Island City. I'm going to go ahead and just stop at 5 miles per hour for now, just in case there's any downhill that affects me. I don't think there is. It looks like flat track, but we know it's going to be 5 up ahead. Let's see how much. Oh, wow. We've got a decent journey at this speed. Wow. Oh, no, we're not. I'm looking way too far. I'm looking at Penn. So here's our path to here. We're going to be going to track 9, which is exactly what we're supposed to do. So we are being positioned correctly. The only manual switch is here between tracks 0 and 1. Other than that, there's no manual switch. Everything is normal. There are platforms here, but we're going to a side track because this is not a passenger stop. And you can see the underground. That's the path to Penn Central, and there's Penn Central and West Side Yard. We also have a connection over here to Hudson Line. So the Hudson Line is up there. If you have the Hudson Line DLC, you have Penn on that DLC as well. So there you go. In case you didn't know, now you know. Now, I don't have Hudson Line yet, but at some point I will get it, and I will definitely look at it. I do definitely want to look at the Washington to Baltimore route at some point in the future, though. I now know that Brandon was involved with that route, and he made the scenarios for that. And he actually said, if you want to see good scenario design, that's probably one you want to look at, because he made sure they were pretty solid, he says. And while I'm not going to say one way or the other that they are good at this time, because I have not seen a single one of them, so I can't tell you, I know that this route is good. And if this route is good, I'm pretty sure he can do a scenario as well. So I will definitely show off that route and those scenarios at some point in the future as well. But I do want to put some more UK content on the channel between this route and those. And I will be eventually doing the Washington to Baltimore route as well. So make sure you like this video, of course. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you can see not only this content, but also that Washington to Baltimore and all the other UK content I have planned as I go along. And I do own Washington to Baltimore because I did get the package that was in. I will be definitely showing that off because I really want to show that off. Now that I know that that's probably very good. So I've been going 5 the entire time because I know that we have a 5 up ahead. So I haven't really seen any reason to go to 10. I mean, the person behind me might be annoyed if there's someone behind me, but I don't care. There usually isn't in these scenarios. In real life there could be, but I'd be considerate then. But yeah. So my speed dropped to 4.9. I am just coasting. I should be entering the 5 now. I have to respond to that alert. I almost forgot I had to do that. But I'm already going 5, so it's perfectly fine. Because I didn't go up to 10 myself, I didn't have to be warned about the 5. I just have to respond to the fact that I've entered it. So that's all I'm doing here. And at this point, I just have to move ahead until I arrive at Long Island City Track 9. Once I've done that, my scenario is completed. And there's nothing else for me to do. I'm going to try and pull all the way in to the end of the buffer since I have no timing concerns here. I'm just going to go all the way in and stop. Long Island City is the terminus of this section of the route. There are 3 different termini. One is Atlantic Terminal, which is a terminus for all 6 tracks and platforms there. Or the 4 platforms, the lettered platforms. Obviously, Long Island City, which terminates here. It's just a little out of the way route that has very little service. A few of the trains come from Long Island City as well. And then Penn Central, which is a terminus for this route, but also is the way that we connect to a number of other routes. Now, on the Far Rockaway branch, there is actually a metro connection not far from Far Rockaway Station. The metro section actually connects you back to the main network via the metro tracks, a different rail network. Now, I know nothing about that. When I looked it up and I noticed it goes to the north, and I think it goes south as well, but definitely to the north, and eventually connects back to the metro network coming from Penn Central. So there is a connection there for people in Far Rockaway if they want to get up to Penn Central. That's how they would get up there. The only reason they would take the Long Island Railroad is for the occasional person who has to head to Jamaica or further out to the east for some kind of work out east. And they have to be up at a certain time to get those trains because they do not run in the PM. They only come in the PM as people come home. And if you don't get those trains on the way home, you have to stay late, you're hitching a ride. You're getting a bus from Penn Central or something like that. Or you're hopping on the metro from Penn Central. I kind of wish for passenger convenience there was like just at least an hourly train in and out from Hunterspoint Avenue, and that just ran to Jamaica or something like that for a transfer, but they'll do what they do. They have their reason for doing it the way they do, and I'm not going to judge them for that. Especially because I'm not from New York and I'm not serviced by them anyway. I just find it surprised there are only 6 or 7 trains a day out of Hunterspoint. Oh well, not my business. So I'm going to just zoom in for a moment here as I have a full cab view. You see that the end of the track is up ahead there. You see the buffer. You can see a building behind the track as well. I definitely don't want to try and go through that building. I mean, if this was a different game, maybe I would, but because it would be spectacular. But in this game, it just kind of sends you flying in the air or something like that, or gives you a little bump on the end of the track and says you can't go any further. Or it tells you passed a red signal, even though there's no red signal there. I don't know. But in any case, we are stopping on Long Island City Track 9. That's the last stop we have, as you can see, and we're finished. So I'm going to try to get the entire train into the yellow. This may not work, but I will go at least as close to the buffer as I can. We have 0.06 of a mile to go. Make that 5, coming up on 4. Do I hear 4? 4. So I'm going to start lowering the brakes in coordination with the distance to go here so I can come up slowly on the buffer. So I have 0.03 of a mile to go. Down to 2. Lower a little more here as I come up on 1. And there's the 1. You see a parking lot up there. That parking lot is for the building up ahead. So I guess that's their staff parking. I did not mean to do that right then. I wanted to go a little further buffer, but we got our stop. Let's look at the train. So a rare look from Long Island City. Let's turn the headlights off as we're done here. In fact, I'll turn the wipers off too if it lets me. I think it worked. In any case, yeah, this is the Long Island City area, and we don't get to see this very often. In any case, well done, engineer. That was a tough run with those aggravated passengers on board. They didn't bother me. We will rest up here until we receive further instructions from PSCC. So basically, because this was an out-of-the-way journey for this train, we're probably going to find this train as the driver. We're going to probably have to route this train back into either Woodside or maybe as far as Jamaica for another service. So this is kind of a case where the schedule is thrown out of whack because trains are being forced off at a different location, and passengers who are already aggravated from a tree falling between Huntington and Hicksville and having to take a bus, they're now getting the aggravation of having to go to Long Island City instead of Penn Central. So yeah, for those passengers, this truly was the journey from hell. Not the summer from hell, but the journey from hell. And summer of hell is a reference to work that took place, I guess, on the track during a certain period. The LIR actually called it Summer of Hell, interestingly enough. And we're going to get our scenario completion screen from here, so let's take a quick look at the scoring screen. I'll just skip right ahead to that. Now, interestingly enough, apparently I got a 0-second time penalty on New Hyde Park, and I didn't even notice that. Apparently it said timeliness penalty 143 and not timeliness bonus. I was barely on time for that. Remember, I stopped at 8:58 exactly, I think it was. 8:58 or 8:30, sorry, exactly. And because of that, I don't know where the 41 seconds came from. I think that's from my departure time. But because I stopped at 8:38 exactly, it was 1 second after the minute had passed, I was just on time. So that's what a perfect score looks like with a very close call at one of the stops. And yeah, I don't know if it was a case where I came in too slow or if I drove too cautiously at that section. Oh no, I still got away with a perfect score. That's all that really matters here. So 5-star difficulty, 5-level difficulty, perfect score. That's how you do it. And that's the first time I've actually ever run that scenario. I didn't even take any cuts to run a second run to replace something. That was actually the full run of the scenario in one shot. I saved it on the way just in case, but I did it in one shot. So it is possible to do. It's not that hard actually compared to some other scenarios I've done with lower difficulty. But in any case, we're done this. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tune in next time for the next scenario, which I believe is the Hempstead 7 scenario that we saw on the Train Simulator stream yesterday. So I think that's the next scenario I'm going to be running here, scenario number 2. And I know that the 2-part scenario follows that. I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. It will come to me at some point, hopefully before this broadcast finishes, but I'm not playing it next time, so it doesn't matter. In any case, Hempstead 7 is next time. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'm Cyclone. Have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, your part of the world. I will see you next time for more Train Simulator Classic. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you know when I post next videos. I'm going to probably post this batch through Sunday, take a day off, and then do more next week. We'll see. But in any case, I'll get this all to you. Make sure you follow, and I will get it to you. See you next time. I'm Cyclone. Bye-bye.